Welcome to another edition of Creative Space. This session we'll be talking about women and car culture with Renee Edwards Ambrose. Couldn't think of a better person to tackle this topic with because she is the car aficionado, drag racer, expert on all aspects of car handling, and now an educator teaching other women how to become comfortable with their cars. I stand to learn a thing or two because I can barely change a tire. So we're going to go into it with Renee Edwards Ambrose. Welcome, Renee.
Thank you so much for having me, Joanne. And it's always a privilege and an honor being interviewed by you.
Yeah, the first time I interviewed you, I was going to bring this up later, but the first time I interviewed you, you made a promise to me that you have yet to deliver on, and I'm holding you to it. I have an IOU somewhere. You're supposed to take me drag racing.
Well, we'll talk later on in the conversation. I know that I've held that promise with you, but I will return on that promise for sure. No worry about it. We got it covered.
My memory is long like elephant. I remember.
I know. I know.
But I want to talk about the last time we were actually in a room together. I'm going to start here with this image. This is us. Where was this, Renee?
Oh, this was at Sandals Grand Antigua in 2020 for the Women of Wadadli Awards.
So what do you remember of that night? Tell me about what award you were getting and how you felt about it.
Well, first off, it was the WOW Award for Sports and Athletics, being a trailblazer to some extent within sports, more specifically drag racing. And what made me very proud about this award is that outside of all the different sports that we actually are disciplines in Antigua and Barbuda, drag racing was somewhat new with regards to being a part of the Ministry of Sports over the last 4 to 5 years. So for this being the inaugural WOW Awards and being nominated and even winning the award in sports, it was a wow factor to me, right?
A wow factor, and of course your outfit is wow as well.
I didn't even start talking about that yet because that dress was also designed by an Antigua designer and made in Antigua as well. And I thought that it was Kelly Richardson and Jerome Simon.
Cool.
Yes.
So, you mentioned drag racing being a minority sport, but as a woman, you were also a minority in drag racing. So that makes it significant.
Yes, because when persons hear about drag racing or car culture, they never think that a woman would excel tremendously and be a trailblazer in that particular sport. So when at first I was wowed, but then I understood why, and sometimes you have to sit down and really look back at what your accomplishments and what you have what glass ceilings you've shattered to become even nominated for an award such as this. So I am just grateful for the opportunity to be recognized for the work that I've put in. I attended Antigua Girls High School, and straight out of high school, the first thing my mom and dad asked me was, so what's next? You finish high school, so what are you going to do? And at that moment, I told my mom and my dad, look, I want to be a pilot, an engineer, a drag racer, and a mechanic. And at that point in time, my mom was like, whoa, slow down. We have to do it one at a time, one thing at a time. You can't just try and do everything at the same time. So I think at that point in time, she understood that I was very ambitious and there are a lot of things that I wanted to accomplish. I always wanted to learn more of how to fix things. How do I solve a problem? How do I increase my troubleshooting skills? So straight out of high school, I went straight into the engineering field. And after that, of course, with the list that I gave my mom, I told her, well, let's try out the pilot aspect. And the crazy story about that is that I had applied for avionics technician in aviation at the same college that I tried, I sent in my application for the pilot, and the pilot came back first. And as I started the pilot course, I got my acceptance letter for the avionics technician application. So my mom said, hey, you're already in the course, just go through and do what you have to do. At that point in time, there was still Caribbean Star.
But you went to that's airline?
Yeah, working for an airline in the electronics department. So within aviation, there is the mechanical side and the electrical side. So you can either get certified in both or in one of each, and still probably make a decent living with either or both at the same time. But I was more interested in the avionics part of it. And then I came back to Antigua, and around that same time, there was Caribbean Star and Liat still had the monopoly over flights or air travel throughout the Caribbean. And I had applied for a job, and that didn't work out. Then I started teaching music. Who would have thought, right? Because my dad is also my dad is actually a musician. My mom sings in church. I used to sing in church. My brother is an organist. He builds organs right now. So there was always music within my family. So I know music. I could teach music. So I was teaching at Kids Unlimited, and by the fourth week, my mom sent me an ad that says, Liat is giving scholarships away to study in Guyana for 4 years, aircraft maintenance and engineering. I said, that sounds like something I want to do. And I sent in my application, and I turned out to be the only girl for the first batch from Antigua and through the whole Caribbean, through the Liat network, that was chosen to become that. Came back after the 4 years and went straight into working for Liat 1974 Limited, which I started in 2011 up until last year. And that was an amazing experience. I was able to work on 2 different types of aircraft, the Dash 8s and of course the ATRs. And I was able to travel as well. When we had the devastating fire, I was chosen to actually stay in Trinidad and build our wheels and brake assemblies in the the Caribbean Airlines hangar. So, and I also had the opportunity to travel to France, to Toulouse, France, to actually study for 2 weeks about the ATR. So that by itself was an exhilarating experience.
What are some of the common myths about women and cars? And I want you to react to some of them. So one that I found was women are worse drivers than men. True or false?
That's false. Statistically, right? Women are safer and better drivers than men. And what you find, even with outside of driving, women tend to measure twice and cut once, whereas men, then they just kind of leg or no hand. Whenever they feel like doing something, they just do it and don't really think about it, you know? So I think that's a myth. And statistically, it's been proven that it's a myth.
Survey says yes, definitely a myth. Definitely a myth. Okay, yes. So women are more likely to drive distracted. Okay, you know, they love to say they're putting on their makeup, they're doing this, they're doing that. True or false?
That's true. I've listen, John, I fell the victim to that on numerous occasions, to the point where sometimes I had to leave my phone in my bag when I get into the car, you know, and really and truly, I try my best to advocate for safe driving, you know, but sometimes a call comes in unexpectedly, and it's important to use Bluetooth. For persons that have Bluetooth attached to their audio system in their cars, it's super important. Makeup can wait, because whenever you get to wherever you're going, you can put on your makeup when you park up. But I'm actually going to
override you. I'm actually going to override you on that one, because anecdotally it feels true, but the survey says that women are not any more distracted than men when driving, right? But I know anecdotally it feels true, because I know I've done all kinds of stuff while driving. Um, but that's not what the survey said. The survey says that women are not more distracted than men when driving. So we're both wrong.
So what are men distracted by doing? Like just their phones? Like they don't have anything else to do outside of driving? Like we have to fix hair, fix makeup, put on eyelash.
I don't know. I don't know what the survey says. Okay, so
no problem.
The next one is very true of me. Very true of me.
Yes.
Women cannot handle basic repairs. True or false in your experience?
That is true. Women cannot handle basic repairs. And I think there's a reason behind it.
We're doing so much damage to the feminist movement right now, but do go on.
Yes. and that's unfortunate, but I think because I saw that issue, I decided to go down the path that I'm going right now with teaching women how to just do basic things that can prevent major repairs. So women, when you speak to women, they're like, oh, well, my boyfriend not teach me, or my friend not teach me, you know what I mean? And a lot of them are scared to even ask the question to other persons because they don't want to seem dumb. And don't get me wrong, Joanne, there's some men that don't even know how to change a wheel. You understand? Yeah. And I have had men in my workshop as well. And some of them just don't know how to do the basics.
Frankly, it's not about aptitude, it's about socialization. That's what it's about.
Yes.
Because women have the ability to do simple repairs. We just we're not socialized to do so. Mm-hmm. Next one, women have, this is a big pet peeve of mine. Women, the line is, women have trouble parallel parking. It has been my experience, Renee. I am good at parallel parking, good enough, let me put it that way. But some man will always show up out of the ether to come help me. And I'm like, I don't need any help. I know how to do this. I had a guy one time stick his hand in my car to turn the wheel for me. And I'm like, did I ask for the help? I know how to parallel park. So in your experience, do women have trouble parallel parking?
I don't.
But they love to
but I've seen videos on YouTube. I've seen it with my own eyes. And I've seen it with my own eyes with men that have trouble parallel parking too. Especially like when you have small cars and you have a big space, and it grinds my gears when I see a man do it. Like I'm like, you want me to drive it, but then that will just shoot their ego down like by 1,000.
My pet peeve was why are they always showing up out of the blue to help you when you're obviously doing the thing? Like back up, like no, I know what I'm doing. I'm okay. Did I ask for help? I'm good. So I don't know. Maybe I'm in the minority on that, but I don't have a problem with parallel parking. I don't either. I don't need your help. It's okay. Another one is, so you're saying that women do have a problem with parallel parking? They do.
All right.
My problem, I tell you what my problem was when I first started driving was feather parking. On those streets in St. John City where you're almost parking into an incline.
Yes.
I drive a stick, right? Or I did when I first started. And to get the clutch and the thing right, to get out without cutting out, that was a problem for me in the beginning. And I used to just sit there like having big trauma over just getting out of the spot. So that was my hill to climb. But once I learned it, I learned it.
Mm-hmm. Well, for me, I think that I learned to balance my clutch before I learned to properly reverse. Because when I first started driving, you can put me in a seat to go forward anywhere, up Mount Obama, anywhere you want me to go. But they tell me must reverse, go nowhere, Joanne. You understand? Because I was just scared that something would happen. Right now, you can't tell me nothing about that because, sis verse. You know what I mean? But I think that is a problem that a lot of persons have. Okay, fine. You can move a car off on a straight
on the incline
area, but the incline. Yes, it's a little bit more technical than just balancing your clutch to move off, and I think that a lot of the driving schools in Antigua need to not only teach persons about the road code, but also how to do small things like this. And that's one of the things that I want to do through my Lady Mex workshop for 2022, where through the workshop, apart from teaching about how to take care of your car with the basic essentials, is to actually teach persons how to drive manual transmission vehicles.
Okay, since you brought up the Lady Mex let's talk about what you're doing now.
Yes.
Talk about the genesis of it, how it started.
Well, as we spoke about earlier, Joanne, I started the first all-female drag racing team throughout the Caribbean, which is Lady Horse Power Farm, now rebranded as LHF Motorsports, Racing, Media and Culture. And while we were, myself and Jodian was my mechanic when we used to travel to race. And one of the things that we realized is that men just didn't understand how educated we were about cars, because Jodian also studied automotive engineering here in Antigua and also in Canada, and there are a lot of women that would walk up to us and be like, how you know about this? And that then kind of rang a bell that, hey, a lot of women just don't know how to do simple things on their cars. So that started off through Lady Horse Power Farm. And I said, look, let's probably do a little notebook and, make it cute, because some women don't like this whole dirty thing, and just sprinkle a little girl top of it, right? So that started in 2016. And to be quite honest with you, when I started it off, it was actually launched for free with the Women of Esteem Foundation, where we actually conducted it with around 50 young girls between the ages of 11 and 16. And then from there, it was like, hey, well, even though they're young and we can educate them and show them, look, women can do this too. We can use this platform to teach women that are actually driving. So it started off by, teaching women within churches, within certain organizations, and showing them, look, this is how you check your oil, this is how you change your wheel. And then I was like, listen, sis, you can make this a living for you, because people want to learn, and that's a service that you can provide. When it comes to maintenance, preventative maintenance is so much cheaper than reactive maintenance, right? So when you check your oil, what are you looking for? Why do you check your oil? Why do you check the different fluids? If you hear a specific noise, what in the world could it be? What are the different parts that are very, very, very important within your car? Do you really need your gearbox? Do you really need your transmission? What role does that play in your car? So these are things that we teach persons and show them, look, your engine could be running and purring on running on all 4 cylinders. But then if you don't have a transmission in your vehicle, then how is this energy, a ball of energy, going to be transferred to your wheels? And then now that we've reached your wheels, if you have wheels that are smooth, then that means that you won't be able to stop, and then that would put you in a dangerous position. So we try as much as possible to educate, as in layman terms as we possibly can, to motorists how to actually take care of their cars. And then as time progresses, we will start doing, how to actually service your vehicle, how to change your brakes, and have small sessions of these kinds for persons that want to do more of their cars, and save more money now than paying more money later. Because what you do by checking your oil for $0 will dictate whether or not you're going to have to spend $3,000 on your engine.
And how many women would you say you've trained in Antigua?
In Antigua, face to face, I've trained over 600 women, right? Wow. Most recently, through the online platform, because I actually have an online platform for the Lady Mex Workshop through Sagicor.
Wanted to back up a little bit. Online platform started when?
We started that in August of this year.
Okay, so that was sort of your, is it fair to call it a pandemic hustle? That was sort of your entrepreneurial segue after the pandemic changed your life?
Well, I wouldn't really put it like that. Whether or not the pandemic had happened, I would have still gone digital, because that was one of my things to do at the start of 2021, right? But I wasn't sure how that was going to happen, because I was not really versed in doing online classes and stuff like that. So I did extensive research and looked at different options. And then when the opportunity presented itself to actually get it done, and someone said, hey, we want to partner with you to do something like this, I was like, well, thank you, Jesus. And I just got it done, but
Who was
it
the
was a
someone?
dream. Pardon? Sagicor General Insurance.
So
So
how were
when,
they partnering with you?
so they're basically sponsoring the online platform, and they have at the moment we have educated 200 women and men virtually between Antigua and St. Lucia within a matter of 3 weeks.
Wow.
Yes. And on the online platform, I was able to do videos for the practical aspect of it, and also have informational slides and educational slides with voiceovers. So persons had an idea what I was talking about on the slides. And also they had the opportunity to ask questions through that portal. So I was able to answer some of the questions that they had. And then at the end of it, we had a webinar. So persons that were not clear about certain things had the opportunity to ask me questions face to face, well, virtually on the Zoom
I gotta
platform.
tell you, you're being very calm about, but this is a hell of a glow up.
It is.
This is a hell of a glow up. I think you need to give yourself kudos for that. I mean,
Thank you.
You're in a space that's considered a male space. You're teaching and learning. You're teaching and learning as you go how to transfer that from a practical space, a physical space, to a digital space, which is something a lot of people have had to learn on the fly. And you've managed to make it multifaceted and interesting enough, so you're still giving them the experience of having you there in the room.
Yes.
I think you need to give yourself a pat on the back for that. That's amazing. And you've had such a huge buy-in from participants so quickly is also amazing.
Listen, it didn't hit home until last week, because we wrapped it up on just after my birthday on the 15th. We had wrapped it up, but I still kept the portal open because initially we had pre-registration. We had over 300 persons between Antigua, St. Lucia, Barbados, Belize, and the US that actually pre-registered. So once they've pre-registered, then we send them the link for them to actually start learning, and they were able to learn at their own pace within a certain allotment of time. Mm-hmm. And when I really looked back at it, and I realized, Renee, you realize that you just jumped from teaching 20 persons in a session to actually educating over 200 persons on a platform. And I was like, Renee, you did a gosh darn amazing job, and at first I was like, how am I going to put this or package this for persons to understand? Of course, I had to sprinkle a lot of Renee on it, and it was amazing. It was amazing. Even my cameramen, that shout out to VCMG and Kelvin and Dev, when we were recording, they had so much fun, because I am something else sometimes when I get in front of the camera. So when at the end of the session, like we would have participants that would put like their experiences and comment their experience, and they were like, listen, I never thought that learning about my car would have been so fun. So I'm happy that at least I could have utilized my creativity, and I'm happy that this is a creative space to creatively package something for persons to learn a life lesson.
See, listen, it all comes together.
Exactly.
It could be a creative space, but yes, they are, because Renee sprinkle some Renee on it.
That's right. And what I try to do as well within any of my workshop is have a show and tell a segment within that space, where I would show them, okay, this is what a starter looks like, because more often than not, when you pop your hood, you don't normally see your alternator or your starter. So this is what your starter looks like. This is what your alternator looks like. This is what your battery looks like. This is how you jumpstart your car in the event of an emergency. Don't do this, but do this. This is what you can and cannot touch. So they already in their mind know, hey, well, if this gentleman comes and tells me something about my alternator, that they're not pointing to something else, or you know what I mean? So you are actually educated on the possibilities of your components, or how these components work, and how that affects the actual operation of your vehicle. So again, I've had mechanics that have come to me and say, hey, Renee, you are doing a wonderful job, just by educating and letting them know, because there are women that would come by my shop and tell me, yeah, man, Butters teach me how to do this yard. So they have they have a blast talking about some of the experience. One aha moment that I had, there was this one time I did a workshop, and I work alongside one of my participants' husbands. So he came to me say, Renee, we really teach there this workshop. So I explained to him, me show off, and me tell y'all what I do or whatever. Man say, my wife came home and my wife could have tell me why you need oil, how much oil for put in, how you check your oil. But Renee, she don't know how to pop the bonnet. So I say, oh, goodness. I say, oh my. So after that, Joanne, I ensured.
How you pop the bonnet.
I ensured that I added that. So I understand feedback is so important.
In her defense, it's not the same for every car.
Well, and that is something that I always do as well. Even on my online platform, before I even talk about, because I call the components on the hood in my online platform Jumbie, because people afraid for look under their hood.
That's fair.
Jumbie under their car. And I say, before you even look on their car, this is how you're supposed to open your hood. Now, it's different for all cars. However, the book that no one likes to read, which is your owner's manual, will tell you how to open the hood of your specific car. So I have to put that at the forefront before I talk about anything else. No, trust me. And I have to tailor what I say sometimes whenever they're there. If it's a class full of women, I can say things like, listen, treat your car like you treat your vagina. And then the whole class would be in an uproar, right? Because they're like, well, Renee, some people
learn that too, so that's okay. I'm just saying.
When I say things like that and make sexual references with regards to your car, I mean, people, it sticks with them. For instance, your 4-stroke cycle for your engine is your intake. So that's when the air and the fuel goes into the cylinder. You have the compression stroke, your explosion, and then your exhaust stroke. And when I teach it, I call it the suck, squeeze, bang, blow theory, right? And anytime I start off saying things like that, they're like, explain this to me, teacher, because this is sound kind of how, and I love making it that. I love making
it. So they can make it fun.
I do.
Fun, and it doesn't have to mean anything negative. It's just a way that so people can access it.
Right. And what I miss most, I love the online platform, Joanne, don't get me wrong, but what I miss most about my face-to-face classes is that I sprinkle Renee on just about everything that I do. So of course, the goodie bags, having them, I have bottles of water that's specifically personalized to Lady Horsepower Farm and Lady Mex Workshop. They have the actual book that I would probably sign if they want a signature autograph, because some people come and want autograph.
Of course, you know what I mean? And, what do you expect?
And of course, I have cookie cutter that makes cookies that are shaped like tools. So when I did my workshop 2 years ago, I actually did it for my birthday. So that was my birthday present to me. So I went all out. I had pink flower wall, and I had interview with my participants. If you go on YouTube, you'll find some of those videos. And I actually went and purchased the cookie cutters specifically for tools. And it was color coded with everything that was happening. So you had screwdriver cookies, you had pliers cookies, you had hammer cookies. And I enjoy watching persons open their goodie bag and be like, oh, this is so cute. I was like, yes, I know. and these are things that they would go back and you see, word of mouth, Joanne, word of mouth, crazy. Because after I did that one, my next workshop, as soon as it went up, it was sold out within 2 weeks. Even last year, my last workshop that I had was last year, December, and I made it Christmas themed. So I had like the balloons that look like a Christmas tree with a star, and the theme was green, and I tried to make it interesting so persons have a wonderful experience and at the same time learning. I would have to travel from Liberta to Liat, sometimes at 2 o'clock in the morning, sometimes at 4 o'clock in the morning. But if you know that you're going to be in that type of
For
on the
anyone
road at that
listening who
time of time.
who doesn't know the geography, that's almost from the north to the south.
Yes,
Southeast.
from north to south. So it's basically from to some extent English Harbor to airport.
Yeah.
You know, so it's you're going across country, like literally going cross country. You know, so if you know you're going to be on the road at that point in time, you as the motorist, whether you are a man or a woman, have to ensure that you have the relevant components within your vehicle to ensure that in the event that something unsafe happens, you're good. So I love to tell people, these outside of your documents, outside of your up-to-date license, outside of all of that, and your owner's manual, here are some of the things that are nice to have inside of your vehicle. First aid kit, a jumper cable or a jumper pack, ensuring that your spare is serviceable, because girl, there are people that want help for changing spare. When you change the spare now gonna ground, right? Also ensuring that you have reflectors just in case that you're on the road and you have and at night, and also ensuring that you have a flashlight with you, just in case. So if you know you're going to be on the road at that point in time and your job permits you to be on the road at that time, you just ensure that you have all of that.
I just heard in that list a number of ways I've been lacking over the years. So it's a good education for me too.
Well, there we go. Because there are persons that their battery go dead and they have to basically wait for someone to have a jumper cable to bring it for them. A jumper cable at, I'm not going to call different places, but you can get a jumper cable for between $45 to $75, depending
and the jumper pack is even better. Yes, then you can do it.
But you don't have to wait on someone else. Exactly. And you can get that online for between 60 US to 150 US, depending again on the quality. And once you have that, then you can just get from point A to point B. That's like your spare life or your one-up if you play video games to get to somewhere safe. And let me just back up with regards to your spare. A lot of persons think that whether it be like your actual spare wheel or your donut, that you don't actually go and check to make sure that it's serviceable, right? Whenever you have a spare, if you're going to go and you're going to change your tires, ensure that you go and check your spare to ensure its serviceability. Normally your spare is actually stored in a very dark and sometimes wet, depending on what you carry in the back of your vehicle or wherever it's situated, and it's in a space where it's not, the materials are not being used for what they actually manufactured for. So sometimes they dry rot. It's like having a shoe and you just wear the shoe one time and then you say, hey, 3 years later, boy, I mean, I want one outfit, one place for going. You can put on the shoe. You put on the shoe and the shoe gone about the business. So it's very, very important that you check the serviceability of your spare. And then on top of that, if you have a donut, if you're using a donut as opposed to one of the wheels that actually that looks just like the other 4 wheels on your car, and you use your donut, please ensure that you drive slower than normal, because there is actually a speed limit to drive with your donut.
So we have the fear of the Jumbies at night and the potholes in the day and all these things. So these are Caribbean specific things.
Correct.
You have to think about. We don't have to be aware of the Jumbies at night, because if you're driving at midnight on these dark country roads, you might see some kind of apparition. You don't know what it is.
Well, mash flat. If at one time you get the opportunity for race for government road, well, I'm not encouraging that, but if at one time you drive fast on government road, is if you see anything kind of sketchy after 2 o'clock in the morning.
Look, I went to well, I guess it was a seminar on I don't want to say it was on rape, but it was about sexual assault and so on. And one of the things that they said was at like certain hours of the night and morning, if you're a woman, don't bother with the stoplights, just keep going. And the police would say, no, you have to stop the stoplights. But the thing is, as a woman, the vulnerability at that time of night, this is why I asked you earlier about if you get stopped at night on the road, we can't need a jump or whatever. There's a different experience of it if you're a woman than if you're a man, because of these other things can come into play, and that why it heightens the need for safety as a woman. So I don't know, that just came to mind now. If you have any thoughts on that, you can add them, but that just came to mind now. This idea that there's a particular vulnerability you might experience in certain situations, that yes, everyone should know these things, but if you don't know these things, it could be a matter of life or death.
Well, since you put it quite like that, Joanne, I totally am in agreement with you with regards to that, because I don't stand up at no stoplight anytime after 11 o'clock. So and even though your doors are locked, you never know what could happen, because people are getting more technologically advanced, and you don't know how they will be able to probably open the door from the outside. So since you put it that way, I think that yes, because of the vulnerability factor, that women need to, ensure that they get from their point A to point B with even if they have to rim their vehicles, you just be as cautious as you possibly can. Again, swear from our lovely potholes to get to your destination.
Run into oncoming traffic, because that's another problem to have. Yeah.
But well, that's not even just women alone. That's men too.
Everybody.
Some things happen on the road, Joanne, and I just have to shake my head and say, listen, I'm gonna buy a helicopter because this driving not working. So I've made mistakes to the point where I would cry myself to sleep and say, Renee, if you had known differently, probably would have went a lot better. Or Renee, what were you thinking? Or boy, you try, but you get shoot down. And I've had dark days with regards to decisions that I made that it could have gone a little bit different. But when I really sit down and I think of it, I look at it and say, look, the universe wanted it to go that way so I could be where I am right now. Because if I did not fail in Canada to do a part of my pilot license, then I would have missed out on other types of opportunities to get me where I am. If I didn't fail in Lady Mex Workshop, because my first workshop after a year of pausing, I only had 3 persons. You know what I mean? To the point where in the same year, I said, okay, what is it that I'm not doing right? Or where did I fail? Where did I fall short? And that is where I use that information and then look and see, okay, what do I need to change? What do I need to just shift around? How much more pink do I have to slap on this gosh darn fire? You know what I mean? I can remember when I went from 240 pounds to 198 pounds in 2012 to try out for Queen of Carnival. And I was 25, right? I was going to be 25 that year.
There's a weight requirement for Queen of Carnival?
There was no weight requirement, but they didn't want a fat queen. However, I knew that what I had to offer the world was more than just me trying to strut my stuff on a stage and to act as though I am the best thing since VJ's Bakery Bread. You understand what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, I tried I said, look, this can't stop ya, right? I went and I won 2 competitions. I won 1 competition in Trinidad. I won 1 competition in Atlanta from a small island in the Caribbean that no one knew what I was doing. And then when they see the face and they see the image and they see this person and they're like, wait, she does what? She racist? She's an engineer? Wait, what?
So what did they tell you when you tried out for Queen of Carnival?
Well, the only phone call that I got, it just said, hi Renee, we're just calling to let you know that you didn't make it to the final 6. It's so unfortunate. We would have really loved to see you on stage, but unfortunately the judge's decision is final. And I said, thank you very much. Hung up my phone and I went straight to KFC because I was starving myself for months just to get down to that weight. But then when, of course, it's Antigua is this big, and you hear conversations where persons would say, but she sings well, she speaks well, she has a head on her body, so what's the problem? And even now, I didn't make it to Queen Show. I never made it to representing Antigua or winning a pageant in Antigua. However, even now, people call me Queen, regardless of and this is outside of pageantry. I'm a queen of what my life is and what I've been able to do with my platform to encourage other persons. Okay, so let's talk about the next 6 months. For the next 6 months, I am going to continue the digital platform, and I'm also going to add a lot more courses to the digital platform. So as I had mentioned earlier, how do you actually change your oil as opposed to checking your oil? How do you probably check your spark plugs, right? How do you carry out a 6-point walk around on your vehicle? These things I would put on the course itself, right? Instead of, oh, so this is oil and this is what oil does. This is coolant and this is what coolant does. So within the digital space, that is what I want to do. Once things kind of go back to normal, I am looking forward to actually having my face-to-face workshop again. Within the next 5 years, probably even less than that, 3 years, I want to actually have my own physical space for my workshop. And it's not going to be a mechanic shop, like the conventional mechanic shop. What I want it to be is a space where women and men can learn, right? And also, of course, have probably like a pedicure station and a manicure station. So let's say you want to come in and learn how to service your car or have your car serviced and learn in the process. You can still get your nails done or get a foot massage or something while learning at the same time. So I just want that to be a space just to house everything that's automotive related to my brand in real life. So anything that's motorsports related and Lady Mex related, that all is going to be housed under one roof, right? So I'm really looking forward to that. And I even will be able to extend my online platform to actually probably do live sessions within that space. You know what I mean? So the horizon is wide open with regards to what I can do with this, as opposed to, well, outside of just doing automotive stuff and doing that as a woman empowerment platform. I'm actually also spearheading a cricket academy for women and girls here in Antigua and Barbuda. It's called the YTD, Youth Training and Development Cricket Academy. And it's been a year since I've embarked on that, and I've made significant strides with the help of my team, who have, kind of helped some of the grays to not show themselves. But it's been a rewarding journey so far. Because at the first picture that you sent, Joanne, let me give you a story. The first picture that you sent, that was the first time I actually met Shawnisha Hector in real life. And I always wanted to meet her because my mom used to play softball cricket, and my mom actually was the first woman to make a century in softball cricket, right? So when I heard about the sports awards and Shawnisha's like, boy, mom, if me could have just meet Shawnisha, boy, meet her over the moon, you know what I mean? Because she's the first woman to make it to Cricket West Indies.
First Antiguan woman.
First Antiguan woman. Oh, what is this here? Shawnisha was sitting around my table. Listen to me. So I got to take a picture with her that evening. And that was March last year, Joanne. I ended up being her manager in June of the same year. You understand? I got a phone call. Renee, we really love what you're doing. I just want to have a conversation with you. Would you be interested in managing Shawnisha? I know that your plate is full, but being the very influential woman that you are and being a mentor for other women, I think that this is the type of energy that Shawnisha needs. I said, oh, no problem. And I went and I did it. And I saw that there are a lot of gaps within women in sports, right? And I was just looking at it from motorsports because that's what I was interested in growing up. But I know that the planet kind of shifted to cricket. I realized that there's a lot of gaps here too. So now that I've seen the gaps and I've seen the problems, I've made it my business to spearhead something, or spearhead a program, or spearhead a platform where more women and girls will have the opportunity to have a space to use cricket as their transport into whatever it is that they want to do, and teach them that at the end of.
When you say you see the gaps, like what specifically?
With regards to training and development, I mean, at the end of the day, when you really look at training and development for cricket in Antigua and Barbuda, that too is lacking. But it's even more lacking for women cricket, and I know that I have the capability to make a change. It might not happen this year, it may not happen next year, but I see change happening. One of the girls that was given the opportunity to travel to England on an exchange program this year came out of our camp. Tanya had the.
Okay, because earlier when you said cricket, I was trying to make the connection of you to cricket. So what it sounds like what you're doing is kind of like what an A&R in a record label used to do back in the day, the artist development, where
Yes.
you have the talent, you can sing whatever, but this is what you need to know to survive the industry, to go out
Right.
and speak, and to be able to also.
And also give them an opportunity to actually travel outside of this region to play in different regions. So for instance, right now we have partnered with persons in England to send talent abroad so that they can experience cricket outside of here. I've had conversations with Stacey and King from Trinidad, and she's basically setting up the same type of structure in Trinidad. So we will be able to send girls to Trinidad to do basically the same thing and learn in a different culture.
So my only question is why limit it to cricket?
That's where I started. I've been someone reached out to me about basketball, but I want to ensure that my blueprint is solid before I can transition into any other sport. Because at the end of the day, I think that basketball needs to be revamped. I've actually sponsored my alma mater, the Liberta Primary School basketball team, because I used to play basketball back in primary school, and I realized that we needed help with that regard. And I stepped forward and threw my hat in the ring and said, hey, we never had this type of support when we were younger, and I just want to ensure that women have an opportunity to play a game or be involved in something that they've always wanted to be in. Even if they don't make it to the pros, there's so many other different avenues, Joanne, that they can take up. I mean, in cricket, you have from brand management to physio to commentary to all of these different, even writing. And I must tip my hat off to you as well for wanting to try and put things together for athletes in Antigua and Barbuda, putting a profile to some extent together for that, because I tried to do that with drag racing, and it's it's like pulling teeth. It's like pulling teeth sometimes, and it's like pulling teeth sometimes. And even the other day, I had the opportunity to partner with Pickett Sports Club and Cricket West Indies to put on a cluster in Pickett's for the development program for kids for the under-19 World Cup that happens in 2023. You know what I mean? And I felt so great that I could make these girls feel as though, hey, me only start learning how to even spell cricket, but guess what? I look like if I'm a part of a team, and I can see development, and I can see that these people care about where we are going and how we're being developed and how we look as a brand, and how we are supposed to balance life and school, because at the same time they had their exams to deal with. So we had persons on our team that would reach out to the parents, ask them how they're doing, if they're going to miss it, just give us a call, and if they need help with how you plan things around your school schedule, how can we help? And then at the end of every week, you have pictures of you doing something that you never thought you would have pictures of you doing, because I had a photographer come in and take pictures so we can have it properly documented. So when I stepped into that, it was actually a great opportunity for me to get my feet wet with regards to sports administration and sports marketing and sports branding. So outside of motorsports and engineering and just being cute and walking absolutely gorgeous in high heels. I am actually on the floor getting things done and building things from scratch, and it's a wonderful feeling.